Summary. Chief Seattle, 1786–1866, born near Blake Island, Washington, known for being the namesake of the city of Seattle, is known today to the world for his speech. The speech makes a celebration of the ecological responsibilities that one should have to make the world a better place to live in. He makes a comparison between white man's ways and their own ways of dealing with nature to point out to the world how the white man's ways soon will be the cause of their own doom. The speech was a response to Governor Stevens' proposal of a land treaty with the Red Indians. The present speech that we are studying is Dr. Henry A. Smith's translation, which was published in 1887. Chief Seattle begins by saying that nature has been a great sympathizer and it will not always remain so if we do not respect nature. Great Chief of Washington is referred to as Good Father, and as he sends his word of goodwill and friendship. Chief Seattle says that Great Chief does not need their friendship, and it is greatness of the Washington Chief in doing so, as they are more powerful and strong than the Red Indians. He emphasizes that these two races have distinct origins and therefore there are many differences between them. Seattle mentions the sacredness that they associate with the ashes of their ancestors and therefore how they consider their land to be sacred, whereas the whites move away from their father's grave. He mentions how in few decades the Red Indians will face certain kind of disappearance, and he also warns that someday the other whites too will face the same destiny. The condition was that they will not be barred from visiting the ashes tombs of their ancestors and that the land is sacred to them. He ends his speech by saying that white man is not alone, as even if the Red Indians may vanish, but the spirits of the Red Indians will always populate the land. He further requests the white men to deal with the land sympathetically, as for him the dead are not powerless and the people who die merely change world. In his speech, he was not only honest, but also very direct in his attack on the white man and their civilizational standards. He compared the worldview of the white man with that of his own worldview. His proposal shows that he is very traditional and moreover thinks that it is only with the blessings of one's ancestors along with the blessings of nature that one can survive. The Red Indians think that dead are not really dead, as their spirits usually are there over the land and therefore, they consider the land to be sacred. Chief Seattle just puts forward some conditions which the white man needs to accept before accepting the land from the Red Indians. The difference of worldviews of the two people, the whites and the Red Indians, needs to be understood. Whereas the white man consider land to be a natural resource which they must own so as to reap benefits out of it, the Red Indians consider their land to be sacred. Red Indians believe that the earth does not belong to the man belongs to the earth, whereas the whites want to rule over earth. The Red Indians presents a consciousness which talks about sustainability. Natural resources are limited, and if they are not used or utilized judiciously, then it can be the primary reason of the doom of mankind. It's a man-centric world where he has made use of all the natural resources for our own development. The culture of the Red Indians was completely disregarded in the narratives of America. Human beings, in the process of developing our civilization and culture, have disregarded the fact that we are part of nature and that nature is not something which we own. Thus, Chief Seattle speech is very significant in our present life so as to make us learn how we need to view our lives as part of nature. The Homecoming by Rabindranath Tagore is about a rural boy Phatak and how when he comes to stay with his uncle, family in Calcutta found himself to be a misfit. Rabindranath Tagore (1861–1941) is one of the greatest writers, poets of the world. He was born on the 7th of May 1861 in Jorasanko, Calcutta. His father Devendranath Tagore was a zamindar. He was known among the people as Maharshi. Rabindranath Tagore did not have a formal education in school like other school-going children. The reason was that he was never comfortable in school and was unable to take interest in the school curriculum. Having been brought up in an artistic atmosphere, his inclination towards literature was quite natural. His famous novels Agora, The Home in the World, 4 chapters, etc. Rabindranath Tagore also won Nobel Prize in Literature in 1913 for his famous collection of poems, Gitanjali. Pathik, a rural lad, was a popular leader among the boys of his village and always was into some mischief or the other and enjoyed the rural setting more than anyone else. Due to his mischievous acts, it was suggested by his uncle to take Pathik to Kolkata where he can pursue his education. As Pathik, the 14-year-old boy, reaches Calcutta, he was not received with any enthusiasm by his aunt who was already perturbed by her 3 sons. As he expressed his desire to go back to his village, the uncle told him that during vacation, he would be taken to the village, but that was to happen after a long time. At last, one day he leaves his uncle's house on a rainy day and after a long and arduous search, the policemen were able to trace him completely drenched. It may seem to be a simple story with a very linear plot, but beyond the apparent storyline, the sensibilities and anxieties of the village boy Pathik is presented by Tagore in its profoundest detail. Before leaving for Calcutta, he even gave all his prized possessions to his younger brother Makan as he felt that he had no use for them. When Pathik's maternal uncle suggested to his mother that Pathik be sent to live with him in the city, Pathik was more than elated as he was fascinated by the city life. The romanticism that is associated with the migration to city and the jazzy life of the city always propels people to think in that manner. But as Pathik enters city, he encounters a different reality. He finds that his arrival to his uncle's home in Calcutta was not met with a warm welcome by his aunt. Moreover, the city kids tend to distance themselves from him, leading to Pathik spending time in solitude. A child of 14 who used to enjoy the association with nature, with people around him when he was in village, now is reduced to suffer in his solitude. Pathik could not tolerate the situation anymore and decides to run away from his uncle's home. The verger elaborates the theme of literacy vs wisdom. Somerset Maugham was of Irish ancestry, though he was born in Paris and known for his short stories which were much evocative in their content and style. His other best-selling novel was The Razor's Edge. It is during the World War II that Somerset Maugham states and worked on the novel The Razor's Edge. Settled in the United. In today's world, we give a lot of importance to education, and thus emphasis is put on formal education where one learns to read and write, and even speaks fluently. But often there is a lack, that one is not able to assimilate education with the essence of one's living, and thereby, even after being educated, one is not able to make any success in life. The plot of the story is simple. Albert Foreman works as a verger of the church for 16 years and does his job diligently.